In this slidecast, we'll look at an application of the vector class. Here are some statements that store a collection of integer values in a vector. So we have SumInts is a variable, its type is a vector of integers, nums is an array of integers, and this for loop copies all of the integers from nums, and it calls pushback, and pushback adds this integer value to the vector SumInts. After this loop has finished, the vector elements at location I are the same in the vector as they are in the array. This fragment of code finds and displays the sum of the int values in SumInts. So let's look at this for loop. Notice we're using size_t again because the index in a for loop is always going to be non-negative. So I starts at 0 and it will continue as long as it's less than the size of the vector. So size is a method in the vector class that gives you the size of the vector, or how many elements are in the vector. And we can reference locations in the vector using our subscript operator, just as you can with arrays in C++. Now this may seem redundant to have an array and a vector of the same values, but the purpose here was to show you how you can use a vector to process a collection of integer values. In Chapter 1, we had a phone directory application that was built using an array, and we had to reallocate the array when the phone directory was full. And we can accomplish this same directory much more easily using a vector. So here is the directory is declared to be a variable in our phone directory class, and its type is a vector of directory entries. So here's now the add method that takes a name and a new number. We can create a new directory entry. This calls the constructor, and now we can add it to the directory by calling pushback, which is our method to add items to a vector. And the add method originally with our array implementation had to check to see if the array was full and then call reallocate if necessary. And now we don't need to do that. That expansion is handled for us in the vector class. This concludes this slidecast.